Rev up your engines!
Well, here's some interesting news. China has seen a steep drop in car prices, the steepest one in over 22 years. Here's the graph. You can see, whoop, it goes way down. Well, it turns out that consumer prices in China are hitting deflation like mad. Real estate, televisions, whatever, phones. Prices are just coming down because they're not selling them. Now, you may not realize it, but there is a tremendous markup on most things. It will make your head spin how much profit people are making when they make a product. You know, you're buying a cell phone for $1,000. I can tell you, they're making them in foreign countries where they don't pay the people much. You know, what it costs to make one of those things? Now, they claim that you take a $1,000 iPhone, they say it's like $375 to make it. And who knows if it's even that much. But even at that, look at the profit these people have. And cars are the same thing. They're making money building these cars. They're not making them for fun. Well, now even in China, where things are cheap to begin with, the prices start to plummet because they're having a recession and they're getting deflation. People aren't buying things. And if you're stuck with a bunch of crap and nobody's buying it, how are you going to get rid of it? The only way you're going to get rid of it is by lowering the price. And they are lowering the price now. If you've looked at, say, solar panels, some of those things cost 40% of what they did last year because there's a giant worldwide glut of these solar panels. They kept making them, and people weren't buying that many of them. Just like electric cars. They started making them, and now they're making less because they found out, especially in the United States, people really don't want to buy those things. And I've been to dealerships, and the guys told me on the side, they wouldn't let me use their name, but they'd say, yeah, we got some electric cars, but as soon as we get rid of them, we don't want any more. They're too hard to sell. They sit here for months and months and months and months. And of course, if you know anything about car dealerships, they don't own the cars. They're paying every month just like you on a note on each car. And they don't want to pay 4, 5, 6 notes on a car. They want it to come in and be gone. So then they make the whole profit and they're not paying for it every month, right? Well, the same thing's happening in China now, and the prices are starting to come down there. And maybe it's a harbinger of what's going to happen here in the United States. Scotty 609 says, I have an oil leak. I got no 07 Pontiac, 160,000 miles. There's no oil leak signs. It's dry under the car. I checked my oil and it's on the last mark of the dipstick. What could be wrong? Okay, one of two things. Raise your PCV valve. PCV valves don't cost much. They snap in, they snap out. There's a little ball. And if the ball breaks, then instead of the ball popping up and keep you from sucking oil into your system, it will then suck oil and you burn oil. It's only supposed to suck crankcase vapors, and the ball keeps oil from getting in. But if it's broken, it'll suck oil and you burn oil. Put a new one in. If it doesn't fix it, your engine's just flat wearing out. It's 160,000 miles. Piston rings, valve seals are probably worn. And if they are, just live with it, keep adding oil. Oil's cheap. Rebuilding that engine costs you a lot more than that car's worth. It's got 160,000 miles, 17-year-old Pontiac, it's not worth much. In that case, if that's the problem, just keep adding oil. Put, some plastic oil jugs in the trunk, and they add it when you need to. Maybe every time you fill it up with gas, check it and pour it in. Well, now people are saying that we may have a mini ice age if the Gulf Stream changes as early as 2025. Well, all these climate change people, they act like, okay, we're destroying the earth, we're heating everything up. Let's look at it scientifically. There have been numerous ice ages throughout history over hundreds of thousands and millions of years, right? When people were around, they didn't do much. Cavemen, hunters and gatherers, right? But the ice age came, the ice age went. That's one of the reasons they claim Neanderthals went extinct, because they needed more energy than Homo sapiens. So when the ice age came, they couldn't get enough food, where the Homo sapiens didn't need as many calories because their bodies weren't as dense. And that's one of the theories of why they're gone, right? So more like the ice age finished off people more than people created the ice age, right? And now these people are whining about, the Gulf Stream's going to disappear by 2025. And then we're going to have a mini ice age. Hey, scientists aren't even sure whether we're coming out of an ice age or going into an ice age, right? The snow comes, the snow goes. It wasn't all that long ago that Toronto was covered with ice and the ice is gone now. Is it just retreating naturally, or is it coming back? Who knows? The big pictures, nobody knows. So trying to blame us all and getting us to drive electric cars around, it's just plain absurd. Thinking that we have this much effect on the planet. It's grandiosing what man does. I mean, it affects something, but coast is going to flood and blah, blah, blah. Just a bunch of hysterical people running around trying to push their own agenda. Well, here we go with more hydrogen energy. Talking about powering cars with hydrogen. Well, there's a new electrode that they say revolutionizes hydrogen production from seawater. Getting it from regular water isn't too bad, but seawater has all that salt, and that screws everything. It ruins the cathodes and anodes when you're using electricity. They corrode over time, right? As per usual, this is a real forward-looking revolution, right? These guys are suggesting if they use solar energy, these new anodes that they put in the electrolysis system can last a decade. Well, of course, we have no idea if they will or not. They just invented the stuff. These new anodes require higher electrical voltage than when they were using the precious metals, right? They're running out of them, making batteries and computers and everything, right? So these use not precious materials, but it needs more voltage, so even more energy is needed to make them work. There's always something wrong with their systems, because as far as it stands now, as one scientist says, the bugs, such as more voltage needed, aren't that clear, and the study paper isn't making a quick illustrative comparison. The paper shows 6,000 cycles and a 100-hour lifespan. Okay, so this thing only lasts 100 hours, then they got to replace it. I mean, these studies that people come up with, oh, hydrogen is revolutionary. This stuff is at such an early incipient stage. Hey, don't think we'll be driving hydrogen cars powered from the clean sun energy anytime soon. They always come up with these revolutionary things. And then, of course, at the article I was reading in the end, they say, well, we've got investment opportunities. You can get in on the ground floor. Let me tell you something. If you get in the ground floor, most of these things, you end up in the cellar losing all your money because they promise you all this stuff that never comes to fruition. Well, you think you had a bad time in an airplane? Look what happened to these people on the Delta airline. Maggots fell onto people's heads while they were flying through the air. I'm not making this up. It was a Delta Airlines flight from Amsterdam to Detroit, and the people were sitting there. All of a sudden, maggots started falling on their heads. Well, don't ask me how. Perhaps the people that were checking the plane in Amsterdam had lost their sense of smell. It turns out there was a package full of rotten fish with maggots in them. And I guess the maggots broke loose and started falling on people's heads. Really makes you wonder what kind of security and tests they have. You couldn't smell these rotten fish, right? That's going on. Now, I do have to say, I had a weird thing almost fall on our head. We were in an American flight, and we were flying to the U.S. Virgin Islands, right? And when we came down on the islands, boom goes the plane as it lands. Well, the whole top console, you know, where all the air vents and everything, it fell down and almost hit my wife in the head. Luckily, there was a bunch of wires that was holding it, and they weren't long enough, so it stayed there dangling. And we're just looking at this like, gee, do we really want to fly back on one of these American airline jets? The whole top panel fell down, and this airline stewardess came and looked at us. She was, I guess, like, made a face. She says, oh, don't touch it, don't touch it. I said, look, I'm a mechanic. I'm not worried about it. I just want to get off this plane. That was my bad experience, but I do have to say probably maggots falling on my head, that'd be even worse. Well, here's an interesting video. A guy came out to help make women feel secure in Uber or Lyft driving. They're riding around, some strangers driving around, they're worried about something's going on. This guy here on Instagram, he has this video. If a woman's in a car and worried or wherever, the man says, the phone rings, right? Makes a ringing sound. And then the man says, how you doing, babe? And then on the top, it says things like, I just got into a Uber, Lyft, or taxi, whatever it is, right? And then you say, oh, yeah, you know, I'm going to meet you at your destination here, yeah. So that the driver knows that wherever he's supposed to go, there's a guy waiting that's going to rescue you, even though it isn't a guy. It's just a guy in the video. Kind of an interesting idea, really, if you think about it. Sounds pretty interesting. You don't have to pretend you're talking to one. You put it on speaker, right? So the driver can hear and thinks that you're talking to a guy who's waiting for you on the other end. Hey, now there's a good use of the internet, you know, helping making people safe. You just hope that other people have made them, because if they all use the same video, people are going to catch on to it real fast that it's fake. But you could even make your own video and stick it on there. Have your own friends make the videos, and then you just turn the video on. The guy says something. You have the little typing on the top like his that tells you what to say, and then that person in the recording immediately responds, and it goes back and forth. In the end, you say bye and you turn it off. Hey, it's a pretty interesting thing for people that don't feel secure in an Uber or Lyft when they're going somewhere. Not a bad idea. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.